We're going to toggle now back to what's making news for Americans across the country as well tonight. The subject of people and their health care dominating the political arena on this Sunday, roughly 6 weeks after the centerpiece of the Affordable Care Act rolled out. The White House scrambling to fix the flawed Obamacare website. The focus now turns to millions of people who will soon lose their current health care plans. They're getting those cancellation notices. Well, some of those letters are coming despite the president's promise that if they like their health care policy, they could keep it. So now the nicknamed Obamacare, even the president calls it that, has President Obama promising he can solve what so many people say feels like hardship for them right now. Many Americans, even fellow Democrats, seem skeptical. Let's bring in the Fox News political insiders who've been tweeting like there's no tomorrow. I follow them on Twitter. John LeBoutelier, former Republican congressman for New York. I love your theme music, by the way. Pat Caddell, a former pollster for President Jimmy Carter and Fox News contributor. Go back to Pat, he was looking good. And Doug Schoen, there they are, former pollster for President Bill Clinton and a Fox News contributor as well. Gentlemen, good to have you along. A busy Sunday. A brand new Fox News poll asks whether the administration was honest about what the health care law would do. And a whopping 55% of those who responded say, Doug, they feel deceived. What does this mean for the president?
Harris, this is huge, huge news. It means that the president of the United States is losing the trust and credibility with the American people. A president to govern has to have the confidence of the governed. This suggests on a key issue, and I would argue somewhat more broadly, the president has lost the trust of the electorate, a huge, huge development.
You know, it's interesting to see somebody like a veteran journalist, Bob Woodward, talk about this. He was speaking with Chris Wallace, and he said that the president's health care debacle is not Watergate. But then he said it's going to get worse. Pat, how so?
Well, it's going to get worse because there will be further people losing their health insurance. Premiums are going to go up next year. And the employer mandate, which will force people to be kicked off of out of their plans, will happen. But look, the real problem here, and it is parallel to Watergate in one sense, this is the 150th anniversary of government of the people, by the people, and for the people at the Gettysburg Address that the president chose not to commemorate. But you know what? What we now have is not just the lying about this, it is the contempt by political and elite Washington, contempt of the people and contempt for the people, that we know better than you, we're smarter than you, and we have a right to lie to you in order to serve you better, and we know what's good for you. And that is the danger for the entire political class, including the president. You
know, John, to get some perspective on this, Republicans have dealt with eroding trust. You know, we heard Democrats shouting and campaigning on the fact that there were no weapons of mass destruction before we went into Iraq. But history is a good teacher. I've heard you say that. So where can the Republicans go with this now?
Well, number one, what we have said with you the last couple weeks, they haven't yet done what they should do, which is come up with a unified Republican health care plan that's an alternative to Obamacare, and only talk about that. Don't criticize the president anymore. He's going down of his own weight. This plan is unfixable. We can see that. But they need to be standing there saying, hey, America, we do care about your health care problems. We do care about your insurance problems. And here is a better idea than this one.
Well, we've seen some fix-it ideas come up. Yeah. And we've seen them have actually bipartisan support, which is really interesting because in the House this week, we saw a plan come up and 39 Democrats jumped ship to vote for the Republican idea on how to fix this broken promise about people keeping their health care.
Right, and this is huge, Harris, in the same way that the first question you asked about trust is. It shows for the first time large numbers of Democrats are breaking with the president on his core domestic achievement. It says to me that the Democratic unity is going and credibility continuing to slip.
You know, Pat, is there some sort of confusion about that? I want you to watch something with me and then respond. Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi says, I'm defending the president. I'm paraphrasing her here. There's no defection. Watch this.
That isn't a question of Democrats defecting from the president. It's not even about the president so much. It's about the Affordable Care Act. And we will always be supportive of it, and we'll advance it, and we're disappointed that the website doesn't work, because that has a big impact on implementation, but it will.
I don't often quote Bill O'Reilly, and he's right about this. It smells like spin. Pat?
Yes, exactly. This is the woman, remember, who told us that we would have to pass Obamacare, that Affordable Care Act, to find out what was in it, and we are. She is, look, this is a dead weight, an anchor around the neck of many Democrats. Those defections were real. That they continue, the leadership continues to whistle past the graveyard. Deborah Wasserman Schultz of the House, who was the chairman of the DNC, saying it will be an advantage for Democrats. Let me tell you what they face, though. The defections would have been about 100 on the Upton bill if it had not been for the fact that the president claimed he was going to do a fix. The Democrats' problem is going to be simply finding cover and claiming, oh, I voted for something and whatever, is not going to be enough in the reality for people if they don't break. And this is where the crisis will come.
Every one of the 39 who voted with the Republicans are obviously their House members. They're up for re-election next year in difficult districts in states that
You're
Romney
not saying
won.
politics played a role, are you, John?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Look, it's totally politics on that vote. But the bigger thing is what Doug brought up a minute ago. Once the President of the United States, of their party, their fellow Democrat, loses the trust and the moral authority, the whole thing's going to fall apart, and they're going to be scattering and running away. We saw it last week when Senator Landrieu wouldn't appear with the president at a public event. When that thing starts happening, it's over.
And Mary Landrieu out of Louisiana also came up with her own version of a fix-it bill that goes much further along and opens up those plans indefinitely to people who want to keep their health care.
And that is a sign, Harris, that what John was speaking of, trust and moral authority, are gone. Now, Harris, it's every man and woman for themselves.
You mentioned woman. Let's talk about Hillary Clinton, because this is interesting. Critics have said no one wins if millions of people lose their health care plans because of Obamacare, but maybe Doug, John, Pat, they're wrong. Maybe there is one person who may see it rich with flavor when the current president fails. Could it be the possible heir apparent candidate? Alrighty, so you guys are really active on Twitter tonight. Johnny Sage just tweeted to the Fox News insiders and Harris, I'm tired of hearing about Obamacare. What about the 70,000 other problems with this government? I wonder if Hillary Clinton might want people to focus in on that, though. Let's bring back the political insiders. Your quick thought, Doug?
In the short term, Hillary Clinton is very happy with what Bill Clinton said, because Bill Clinton offered a fix. In the longer term, the lack of success, indeed, the failing presidency of President Obama, is a huge challenge for Hillary Clinton, notwithstanding what Bill Clinton said. Bottom line, the problems facing the country are the problems facing the next Democratic candidate, likely Hillary Clinton.
Pat, what did you understand former President Bill Clinton to say and to mean?
What I think he said it meant is, Mr. President Obama, you keep lying to the American people and keep up this contempt for them, we're all going to pay a price, and you ought to keep your word. And I think he had his wife in mind. It's not just, and I agree entirely with what Doug said, it is, you know, she's associated with him. The Democratic Party is in lockstep on this. But more importantly, it is a disaster for the concept and philosophy of bigger and bigger government and taking over huge sectors of the economy, particularly health care. This is not good for Democrats who are already facing a public that thinks government should do less, not more.
John?
Well, also, the next big thing is trying to win for the Republicans the Senate in 2014, right? They failed in 2010, they failed in 2012, they got a shot at it this time. They had no chance 6 weeks ago after that shutdown. But this lie by the president, the whole Obamacare thing, has resuscitated the possibility of Republicans winning 8 seats in the Senate. It's possible now they could do it, and that's what the focus
Don't
of
they
the
need
political...
a positive message, John, not only on health care, but the 70,000 other issues Johnny Sage spoke of?
Yeah, of course they do. And they never seem to have one anymore. They love just criticizing when I think you don't need to do the criticizing. Even some of the mainstream media is criticizing Obama for the first real time over this thing. And let that go and come up with a Republican optimistic plan on how to get out of this.
But you know,
mess.
I get a lot of tweets
really...
on this, and I'm reading it too. There have been some good ideas coming from the GOP.
What John spoke of, Harris, is a united GOP message, simple points like the contract with America. Bottom line, doesn't exist, needs to happen.
All right, last word from Pat Caddell tonight. Pat?
Let me just say, it is more than this. It's not just the Republicans may benefit because the Democrats are hurt. They are both hurt. We saw yesterday a candidate in Louisiana in a special election who was attacking the political process. A business person won 60-40 in what should have been an incumbent, an establishment election. I am telling you, it will be more than that. Yes, the Democrats may be hurt, but so are the Republicans. The anger of the American people on this, at the entire system, should not be underestimated. We are not done with possible alternatives.
Pat, John, Doug, always good to have you. Twitter is alive. You can continue the conversation with them Monday morning tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern on foxnews.com.